One of the things that I think a lot of newer screenwriters get wrong when they first start out is that they think that a screenplay needs to be 100% realistic, that they're trying to recreate reality on the page. But actually, a film is not reality. If you want reality, then you need to go look at a documentary, right? Because a film, a narrative film or TV show, is kind of a heightened reality. It's a reconstructed, stylized reality. Even if it stylistically appears to be very realistic and grounded, and it's not some kind of fantastical setting, it still is a representation of nature rather than being nature itself. And the way that that works to your advantage as a screenwriter is you can manipulate things to be realistic in a believable way, but not realistic in a boring way. Your whole script, everything about the script, should enhance the story elements, right? Now, Poe goes into more detail about this by talking about the symbolism of the setting of your story. When you're creating this heightened reality in your story, you want to make something to where the world around the characters helps show the journey that your characters are going on, all right? And so once again, going back to The Raven, Poe explains how he used this approach to formulate this breathtaking and captivating story that has still remained popular over 100 years after he wrote it. Poe says, "The locale," the setting of the poem, "being thus determined, I had to now introduce the bird. And the thought of introducing him through the window was inevitable. The idea of making the lovers suppose, in the first instance, that the flapping of the wings of the bird against the shutter is a tapping at the door originated in a wish to increase, by prolonging, the reader's curiosity, and a desire to admit the incidental effect arising from the lovers throwing open the door, finding all dark, and thence adopting the half-fancy that this was the spirit of his mistress that had knocked. I made the night tempestuous, first to account for the raven-seeking mission, and secondly, for the effect of contrast with the physical serenity within the chamber." So you've got a ton of stuff going on here in the way Poe is putting together his story that you can also apply to your script. So he's saying, I deliberately picked where I wanted the story to take place so that it would have a certain effect emotionally and symbolically on the audience. And then I also set up the way that location contrasted with the outdoors, because part of the story is about one of the characters, the Raven, moving from outdoors to indoors, and what that signifies and what the other character thinks is going on. And so all of it is not just symbolic for the storm, and it being dark outside. That's kind of the typical things that we associate with the Raven. But also it makes it more believable for this heightened reality, not literal reality, because ravens don't fly into people's rooms and start talking to them, but a still believable heightened reality to a reason why a raven would go into a window. It's stormy outside, they want to get out of the storm. So this is the kind of stuff that Poe was doing in the 1800s and should be a real lesson to us screenwriters in the 21st century for how we can make our screenplays even better and more engaging. Remember that the milieu, or the kind of story world, the setting, as you will, is part of the storytelling process, and that setting and the symbols that go along with it should be integral to telling the story. It should not be kind of throwaway. There should always be meaning and intention behind every aspect and element that you put into the story. The setting ought to be metaphorical. So even though he wasn't a screenwriter, Poe actually said the words, "A picture is at length painted." So he's talking about making images with words, which is exactly what we do as screenwriters. And if you want to know how you can do that so that you can get your screenwriting career off the ground, then take a look at my free mini course called How to Launch Your Screenwriting Career.